And we're recording. This is the Kubernetes SIG-network meeting for Thursday, August 8th, 2019. I think to start off, Valerie, do you want to have the issue triage this week?
Yeah, let me bring that up. I was thinking maybe we could do cap the actual issue triage because we've pretty much cleared the backlog and look a little bit at PRs now. Whoops, do I have the wrong thing up? Because I think I do.
We see kubectl top metrics.
Sorry, it's confusing having a bunch of windows here at once. All right, there we are. I'll go up to the front of the list. Okay. Intersection of exclude balancer and external traffic policy needs semantic definition. Well, Tim just reported this, so we can probably mark this as resolved or remove unresolved.
Probably. It's also, I think, one of the agenda items for today. So.
Okay. TOB Kate 015 overflows when using string conversion and downcasting the result. Oh, something from the security audit.
Does this
Anyone?
look like sig-network?
It says manage disk controller.
Does it cite all the call sites for this? Or is this a general warning and that anybody who calls A to I should go check it?
That's a good question. I mean, it's tagged for the SIG, but this is like the only specification it has is an example with pods. It might be worth just like someone opening an IDE and double checking what the references are.
You can assign this one to me. I'll take a look at it.
Is that you, Tim?
Yep. Sorry. I was a couple minutes late, as usual.
All right. Kubeproxy failed to restart, caused by error deleting chain, kube mark mask. I feel like we've heard this one before. It's a new issue though. So error moving IP tables. Isn't this a chain that the kubelet also manages?
Yes. So I don't know why it's trying to remove it. Nobody should be trying to remove that chain. Somebody from IPVS land want to take a look?
Yeah, I can take it. I thought this was an IP tables. Is it not?
It says IPVS in the first comment, right?
Okay. Yeah, sign to me.
In IPVS.
Yes,
proxy.
the IPVS proxy.
Okay, thanks.
Tagger it.
All right, health checks failed outside of ingress controller, AWS NLB. This is probably going to be an AWS one.
That's my guess.
The NLB controller is a little bit wonky.
Okay. SIG
All
AWS.
right, what's the label now, Andrew? Because it's not SIG, right?
Yeah, I think I saw the AWS label already on it. So if it needs a SIG, just put it on cloud provider.
Yeah, okay, I'll just.
And remove sig-network.
Yeah. All right, network service end-to-end tests failing.
Cryo.
I think they set out a fix for this.
Can you
So is
scroll
this
down?
specific? Yeah.
Is there a PR attached?
Um,
A lot of comments.
looks like there's something.
You have a second one.
So are they reporting that there's a cryo-specific issue with these tests?
Right. They put localhost address on the node object, and then when they try to send traffic to the node pool, they are using 127.0.0.1, and then they're doing that in the pod without host network. So that wouldn't work.
Who is putting localhost on a node?
I think they're trying to use 127.0.0.
Who?
The cryo environment.
On a node?
Yeah.
Assign. You can stick this one. Well, I don't know, Xiang. You touched already. Do you want it, or you want me to take it?
Yeah. Assign it to me.
Sorry, what's the username?
Mr. Han.
MRHN.
Right.
One day I'll figure out what that means.
Always makes me think of the Star Trek character. Okay, after deleting the service, kubeproxy cannot delete the corresponding IP tables rules. This is a different one, right? The kube mark drop.
Is this also IPVS? If it is, you can send it to me as well.
Not seeing. Oh,
It does say.
yeah, it looks like it is IPVS. All right. All right, all services losing endpoints after a couple of hours on Windows node. Anyone here familiar with Windows networking?
I'm from Microsoft. You can assign it to me.
Who's that? Sorry.
This is Yongli Chen. My handle is Cyan86. I put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not an org member?
Sorry, I'm not a org member yet. Yeah.
Okay. The bot just won't let me actually assign it, but I'll tag you there.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Kubelet start fails. Streaming server stopped unexpectedly. Looks like you had this one, Tim. Do you want to pass it off?
No, can you jump back to the bottom just to refresh me where we left it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I responded to something yesterday. Yeah, I still got it. That's fine.
Okay. Well, this one looks like it has something new on it. All right, so sig-network DNS fail. It should provide EC hosts for the cluster.
I'm actually working with them on this, and we tried to repro it when we tried on an actual cluster, bring up a pod. It seems to work. So I'm just trying to get more information. I'm working on it.
Sounds good. All right, proxy, better metrics for failed actions.
That's like a feature request, is it?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, I guess that's right. And it seems like an easy one if anybody wants to rack up a couple of commits. Adding metrics is honestly like the simplest and simultaneously most impactful thing you can do with like a half hour.
Can you assign to me? My ID is Pigo A5G.
Sorry, what was the username?
A5GO. No,
is that it?
FIGO.
FIGO.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thanks.
Connections to service cluster IP with no endpoints are not rejected. I thought we fixed this a while back.
I thought we did, and then it came back, or we missed a case. We can jump to the bottom again. Was Dan looking at this?
Looks like Dan probably got assigned quite a while ago.
Yeah. Send this one to me. I'll look at it or close it. Thanks.
Okay, option to specify source NAT address for VIP traffic feature request.
Oh, can you see the subject? Sorry, I didn't read the first one.
They want an option to specify the source NAT for VIP traffic. Anyone want to look into it or have like an initial thought on how viable that is?
I mean, it sounds like a potentially real feature request. I don't have any thoughts on how to design it at the moment. We can probably just mark it as triage or kind feature and remove the triage label.
Okay.
If anybody wants to help think about how to design this, like help is welcome. I do not have the bandwidth in the near future to think about this.
One option that I'm thinking through that might have relation to this is when you have multiple interfaces, can you bind Kubernetes to one of the interfaces and leave the rest alone?
That could be this. Reading the first message, it sounded like when you have multiple addresses on an interface.
Right.
So not multiple
interfaces. I see.
So I can see how it could get confused.
Right.
I don't even know what the proper masquerade behavior is at that point.
Right.
But I don't know what the design for this would be. I'd have to think hard about it. So I think this one's triaged. I don't know if the order is here.
Yeah, I can talk about it, I guess.
Are you Maxter?
Yeah.
Can you tell us just a bit more about it?
Yeah, we use route source hints for our routes that we have on the kernel to pod addresses. And so Masquerade will just override and use an address from the interface instead. And so it's important for us to be able to specify the source address of network traffic on our network. So
what do you specify it to?
We have a different address that's advertised from the host. So it's not an address that's actually on either of the interfaces. So
and it's consistent. Is it the same on every host, or is it different on every host?
Oh, it's different on every host. Yeah. So like my thought would be to implement this using like just a flag on like kubelet or something, and kubeproxy as well, because I believe both of them program that chain.
Yeah.
Or it could be a property in the node object.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like I don't fully understand the problem, but it could be a legitimate feature request. So feel free to sketch out some design ideas if you want, or start a KEP if you want.
Sure. Yeah. Does something like this need a KEP or? Probably. Okay.
Even a small, like we're trying to do more KEPs for even smaller things. It doesn't have to be super expensive to write a KEP. It should be relatively painless.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Almost through this list. Oops, look like I picked up one that's not network. Likewise.
Again?
Yep.
Yeah, some other people are using the unresolved label, and that's usually what I filter on. All right, unidirectional UDP traffic to a node port service is not handled properly. Looks like a long page. Let's see.
I remember looking at this.
Yeah, people are not happy about this, it looks like. So what's the context on this?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. Anyone have some bandwidth to look at it more?
I can start taking a look.
Do you have time?
I read through a little bit.
Okay.
I can see there's some.
Cool. Scientific review.
I can do M, yeah. PRAM. I can do.
Respond with it.
You had it there. PRAM.
Is it the
There you
Top
go.
one there?
Yeah, the first one.
Right.
You need a picture.
Mm.
All right, Kubernetes endpoint, maybe, oh, API machinery, and also not as. Okay, so that's the full issue backlog. So perfect timing. I want to look a bit at the PRs because we have a lot of those. How far back should we probably jump?
I think these are the issues, aren't they? Your PR's on a different tab.
Yeah,
Whoops, yeah, sorry.
So I'll say.
I mean, a lot of the old ones will probably just be slamming shut at this point, but.
That's a good point. I've been going through, I was out for the two of the last 3 weeks, so I'm going through the PRs that are assigned to me, and I know there's many people on this call and many of these PRs in this list that fall into that category. But yeah, maybe we should start at the oldest ones.
Okay.
See if there's any that we can just EOL. Well, there's 4 pages of them. I will say, I just want to say a thank you again to everybody who's been running the triage. Since we've been doing that, our backlog looks much, much better. We still have a lot of open issues, but they're all actually real issues now and not duplicates and help requests, etc.
Yeah, at some point we might be able to start like more poking at unassigned issues and trying to get people on them since the backlog is not piling up. All right, so here we have an old one for handling annotations. This one, let's see if there's any. Looks like it doesn't have too bad of merge conflicts. Anyone feel like reviewing this?
Is it really sig-network? And it's all in AWS. Should be SIG cloud provider. When was the last update to it though?
Last update is May.
Not that long ago. Is it assigned to anybody?
Is assigned to Justin Santa Barbara. It looks like it's just AWS stuff, yeah. So we can maybe just remove ourselves.
Maybe.
Can we see why sig-network was assigned? Did somebody do it with purpose?
It's probably in the AWS. I'm just wild guessing that it's in the AWS networking side of things. So.
Yeah, not seeing where it was actually added. It's probably just because it was AWS networking.
Something service, right? So it's probably service means networking means SIGNet.
Yeah. Yeah.
ELB, but we've been pretty clear that ELB is a SIG AWS or a cloud provider AWS issue.
Yeah, this is just some small logic in the provider handling.
Yeah, the problem, of course, I'd love to see the PR get resolved or closed, and just removing ourselves from it isn't going to fix that. But short of getting SIG cloud provider to do the same process, there's not much we can do with it. So we can just remove sig-network and reassign SIG cloud provider. Make it Andrew's problem.
Yeah, it looks like Mike Root's on it, but I'll follow up and make sure that it's on his radar.
Okay, next one, add support of local traffic policy for Win kernel proxy.
This is signed to Patrick.
Yeah.
What's the bottom status of it? May.
Some stuff from May looks like it's just not getting updated. May just ping.
Ping, sure.
Okay. Add completions index feature to parallel jobs. This looks like it's a everything PR.
Wow.
Wow. I don't think I've ever seen one quite like that before. It's like
I once accidentally mis-squashed a rebase and I put up a PR like this by accident.
Yeah, it only changes 4 files, apparently.
It's probably
it may have been what
wild.
Described, like it may have been tagged before or something. I don't know.
Yeah, does anyone want to look at this or?
You can assign it to me. Yeah, can you change the assignee to me, and I'll assign to somebody in SIG apps or something. They've gone some churn there. And also, I just want to look at the history of this one. It's got more labels than code.
All right. Correct bandwidth value passed to bandwidth CNI.
Didn't I approve this one? I thought I approved this one.
Sitting with some.
It's already been LGTM'd.
I see a comment here that it's already, the change has already been made.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and nuke it. I recall this was simply like changing it from KB to MB or something like that.
Yeah, looks like a pretty simple change.
Yeah.
Okay, fix Golang issue in some package controller packages. Looks simple enough. A lot of comments though. So I'm guessing this just touched a couple sig-network files. Someone want to take a look? Should be pretty easy.
Endpoints controller.
Yeah, I mean, you can assign that to me. I think I already looked at it, and Walter already also looked at it. So this is Bowie. Just assign it to me. But they need to fix the merge conflicts.
Yeah.
If anything.
Yeah.
So many PRs get to the point of like, it almost looks good, just resolve the merge conflicts, and then they rot there.
Okay. Work in progress one. We can probably just skip over that. Check loopback interfaces for unicast IP in choose bind address.
I'll take another look at it. I was on this one.
Okay.
I'm already assigned. You can assign me again if you want.
Okay. Sorry, muscle memory there. Use IP address from CNI output.
I think this one has been fairly active
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah, probably don't need to bother anyone on this.
Yep.
Was it you who cleaned up the backlog, Tim? Because I swear a couple months ago I looked and the backlog was ancient for PRs.
I closed some, but also FetaBot has been effective.
All right, move provider about taint from KK to cloud provider.
I'm pretty sure we can close this. It was done in another PR, but assign it to me, and I'm already assigned, so I'll follow up and I'll close it.
Okay. Let's look at one or two more quickly. Remove return value from merge health check, simplified health check, equivalence check.
I'll chase this one. I'm already assigned.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
I think stuff just builds up. I was like firing off reminders a while back after KubeCon, just going through stuff.
So I have a bunch of bookmarks that give me all the PRs that are assigned to me that are grouped by size. So I like literally whenever I do my PR blocks a couple times a week, I go through them, all the extra smalls, all the smalls, all the mediums, all the larges. So if you send me XXL PRs, that's why they don't get to very often.
All right, let's do one last one. No timeout when kubelet calls CNI plugin.
I remember looking at this. This is already approved.
I think this one's been active recently too.
There's probably no merge conflicts either.
I thought it was going in, no?
DIMS was on it as of 3 days ago and is assigned to DCBLE.
Yeah, looks like we can leave that one then because it's still active and almost out the door.
Cool.
All right, thanks everyone.
I would urge everybody go look at all the PRs that are assigned to you according to GitHub and see if there's any that you can reassign or ping or close or something.
So
this is a lot of PRs that are open.
This we raised this before, but the GitHub group that some people ping sometimes is. I looked at the membership and it's kind of stale.
The sig-network GitHub group.
Yeah, sig-network.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And people ping that all the time, even though
I don't really know how to keep those things in sync. Like we've tried a bunch of different approaches to get GitHub notifications to go to mailing lists properly, and most of them have been abject failures. Let's not waste time on that for now.
Okay.
Thanks all. Valerie.
Thanks, Valerie.
Are you going to be happy to do another week, or do you want to punt to somebody else?
I'm fine to do another week. It doesn't take much prep.
All right.
Awesome.
Feel free to get out of it whenever you're a little tired of this. Casey?
Yeah, next up we've got Rob Scott for Endpoint Slice.
Just to give a quick update on Endpoint Slice, there's a couple of those XXL PRs that Tim loves, probably both assigned to you, and anyone who's interested because they're massive, and I'm sorry. But it's adding a new discovery API group, and then the second one is Endpoint Slice controller, and hopefully coming up next week is kubeproxy integration for Endpoint Slice. So interested in any kind of feedback on those PRs, and hopefully another one next week.
Could certainly use help reviewing.
Yes. Yeah. That's it for me.
What was the consensus for service topology and endpoint slice? Like, are we doing those in parallel so that we can use the topology information from services to implement the endpoint slice stuff?
That's a great question. I haven't looked at the discussion about topology since I got back from vacation. So I don't know what the discussion was.
It was kind of not because we got used to do these, but I haven't really.
To do these at the same time, like, do we want to add? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, I mean, it would mean that endpoint slice would have to essentially take that information into account when it comes in from the API on the service.
Well, I think we agreed that it would be part of endpoint slice. The question, I guess, is do we put the topology information into endpoints as well? And what is the risk of, like, without that, the kube proxy will have to watch all nodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's I guess that's the open question. I haven't thought about it.
Yeah, I haven't checked the calculation.
I know that the PRs reopened, or not reopened, but re-emerged for topology. It's in my queue, so why don't I'll look at that as I go through my PRs this week, and we can revisit whether there's something we want to do there. The simple answer would be to do it the same way and put it into the endpoints structure. I'm afraid of the blowout of that, though. Like, we know that we have customers that are already running up against the limit. This would just make it much, much worse. But maybe, I don't know, maybe we can find a half-cooked solution that says topology in alpha only works for up to 100 endpoints or something. I don't know, I'll think about it.
Okay, thanks.
Tim, you're up next.
All right. So there, Clayton, the wonderful Clayton, has raised an issue with the node role annotation. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, node role equals master was added for deployment tools to be able to flag certain machines as control plane nodes. More recently, we've been arguing about what that means, and the general consensus is there's no such thing as a control plane node. And so Clayton's on a mission to eliminate anybody who uses the node role label within core of Kubernetes. It's totally fine for users who want to use that and make assumptions about their own environment, but we shouldn't have built-in stuff making assumptions about the environment. So one of those users is the service controller. When it prepares the list of nodes to feed into the cloud provider for load balancer eligibility, it filters out any node that has the node role label. So part one of the proposal is, well, let's just remove that. And then you have to say, well, how do we filter those machines out? Well, there's already an annotation that was added a while back as an alpha, which was exclude balancer. And so maybe we just formalize that, move it to GA, and tell people, like, if you're Kubeadmin and you want to set your control plane nodes to not participate in load balancing, you should set the exclude balancer annotation. And I argued, sorry for the long history, I argued that this is super cloud provider specific because all the load balancing stuff is really very cloud specific. But at this point, the behavior is so consistent across the cloud providers that I think we can just give a generic name to this annotation and call it okay. The question at hand is, what happens if I have a service with only, or external traffic policy equals local, and it lands on a node that has exclude balancer? We have an intersection of two features, and I am asking that this group consider what we think the semantic should be in that quadrant.
Yeah, I want to throw in two more notes on the problem. One is the not only the service controller is the consumer of the node role master, and also there are a lot of ingress controller out there. I think they use the same library to determine what nodes to be included behind load balancer and whatnot, and I think they share that node. Can you
respond to that issue and link something there?
Yes, that's one thing. And then the second thing is that let's say for the regular open source Kubernetes deployment, usually there's no kubeproxy running on master, right? Usually there's no kubeproxy, and let's say we sort of remove the node role, the role label, and the service controller sort of, okay, treat the master node and other nodes the same. That includes the master node into the load balancer. Then there's no kubeproxy, right, on the master running. So that means either we need to standardize that to include kubeproxy running on master, or exclude the master node.
I think the plan that Clayton's written, and you should go read the cap since you have the context, is at least one release where we have the old annotation supported, another release where we have it enableable. It's basically covered by a gate and go in the other direction for feature gates. The feature here is the removal of a feature. And so we would start with it enabled, move to it disabled but enableable, and then remove it over the course of several releases. That's the proposal. So we can get all the tooling and everybody else up to the correct exclude balancer annotation. And there's a few other places internally that use the node role, so that he's working through those too. From the networking side, though, I don't have confidence in what the right semantic here is. So I laid out in an issue that I linked off the agenda, sort of an analysis of, like, should X work, should Y work, should it be required or allowed or disallowed? It's really not clear to me. I can probably argue all the positions, and I would like the group here to think about
it. Just one question. Does the exclude balancer also mean no service proxy, no queue proxy on the node?
It does not necessarily mean no service proxy on the node. That is a totally different decision. This is the intention of this annotation was a hint to cloud providers that saying, if you're doing 2-hop load balancing, don't use this node as a general gateway for the load balancing infrastructure. The question is, with only local, if you land a pod on that node, it is stranded. It will not be able to get any traffic. And it's unclear whether that's okay, intentional, or whether cloud providers actually have the freedom to do better if they can. Like, I don't like inconsistency, so
somehow it seems to be tied to scheduling, not intentionally perhaps, but.
What do you mean?
No, I mean, if you schedule a node on the master and it is stranded, like you said, what's the purpose of scheduling that node on that? I mean, that pod on that node. If it's not accessible.
I'll look at that annotation to determine whether to place something there or not, and the service configuration is totally.
The scheduler has no such information, right? Yeah. And in fact, it can change dynamically, right? But this don't conflate this with just masters. There are other. The reason that the annotation was added in the first place was to be able to decorate other nodes, non-master nodes, and say, don't make this part of the load balancing infrastructure, not just for masters. So these are they're really orthogonal questions. Like, should you schedule a pod behind a load balancer on your master when your master doesn't have load balancer access? You probably shouldn't do that. But what about the non-masters? What about your?
But, I mean, I would almost argue that it's up to the users to configure the things, because they're setting that for some reason, right? And so if they're setting that, they know why they're setting it. They should probably taint the nodes.
It taints the rights for
maybe. So I posted the issue so that we could have the issue on the record and people could argue about it there. I didn't intend for it to be here. Please go take a look at the issue and weigh in. And if we can get to semantic agreement, then I can tell Clayton what to name the annotation and how to document it.
Cool. Thanks, Tim. So that was, there's a couple more items, but they're from Lucky and Cal, who aren't here. So I think the main thing is just that the services endpoints dual stack phase 2 PR is ready for review. So those who are interested in reviewing that, please take a look at it. And then there's an FYI status document you can look at if you're interested in the overall status of that effort.
We've got roughly 3 weeks to code freeze. So
yeah, on that subject, I have not had the time that I anticipated, and the proxy stuff is falling behind. So review, especially on the API, would be super helpful. Some of the like IP tables proxy stuff is still up in the air, but the API is a bit of a fuss right now, and that's theoretically ready for review. Sorry, it's just the kubeproxy configuration API, because it has to be past multiple bind addresses and so on. But there's some kind of nasty bug in there right now I'm trying to chase out.
Okay. It's in my queue, and I've got more than a few pings from Lucky, so.
Yeah, also, if anyone wants to chip in on that, I'm concerned that I'm going to be blocking this, because I just don't have bandwidth right now. I'm not doing this full time.
I appreciate all the effort that you and everybody are putting into this, and I think it's also worth saying that while we want it to make the release, and we will all try hard to make the release, if it doesn't make the release, it's not the end of the world, and nobody should be killing themselves over making a release. Like, there's another train, it's in a couple of months, but it's coming.
Yeah, I guess I'm just concerned about holding up something that I technically don't have as much of a stake in as other folks.
Understood. We are all volunteers mostly, and I frown on heroics. So please don't, you or anybody, royal you, nobody should be killing themselves to get things done because of arbitrary deadlines. If you miss the boat, there's another one.
All right, that's the end of our agenda for today. unless there's any other last minute topics, I guess we get.
I have
15
one.
minutes. All right.
We have KubeCon prep coming up. We have until I think next week to decide whether, maybe the end of this week, to decide whether we want to do a maintainer track session again. This is KubeCon San Diego. This is generally the most well attended of all the KubeCons. The sig-network intro and deep dive in Barcelona was very well attended. Do people want to do that again, or at least propose to do it again?
I think it's a good idea. We had like a crammed room for that session.
Yes. Do you want to lead it again? I don't want to sign you up for it, or do you want to let somebody else take the stage?
I'd be happy, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes if anyone else wants to take over that.
Anyone?
Put me down as like a fallback.
All right, I'll write it sort of generically and say that we're looking to get new faces in the rotation. So, but we have coverage like in a pinch. All right, I'll write that proposal this week then.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim. Anybody else? All right. Give you all 15 minutes back and see you in a couple weeks.
Bye.